There was a period in my life during my mid to late 20s, um, where in which I didn't quite understand certain parts of my past. Things hadn't always been easy. I had failed in multiple different areas. I had upset multiple different people throughout those times. I'd destroyed various amazing relationships. I'd self destructed in multiple different moments. And I was kind of fed up. And even when I had what I call my awakening, when I was sort of 30 years and 5 months old, there was still a period of time there where I would look back on those years in my life when things just didn't go right and I was self-destructing and everything was bad and I was doing jobs I didn't like and I was having to deal with crap I didn't want to deal with. Even after the awakening, when I'd look back at those moments, there'd be things that I was ashamed of. There'd be things that I didn't understand. There'd be things that would really, really upset me. And I would think, oh, why did that happen? Why didn't I have this amazing awakening like 15, 20 years earlier? Think where I would be now. And I'd have all of those thoughts. However, something which has become apparent to me is that your capacity your capacity to experience the things you really truly love is defined by your exposure to the things you don't. Now, I'm speaking through the lens of my own experience, so of course I can't speak for every single human, but I see in my journey for sure, and I'm not sure if this resonates with you or something you see in your journey, but in my journey for sure, I see the fact that spending so many days exposed to what I don't want, whether that be work wise or relationships or the me that I show to the world, or whatever it may be, all of that exposure to what I didn't like just opened this capacity, this massive vacuum for the things that I really did like. So then, when I had this awakening about 5 years ago, it was like there was this void, there was this huge vacuum of space which my many, many years of being unhappy doing the things that I didn't want to do had opened and created. So that as soon as I was connected and exposed to things that I really loved and that really resonated with my soul, it was just such a rapid progression period. I very quickly accelerated, I evolved, I grew, I matured. My level of consciousness jumped by about 200 points, if probably about 300 points if you're familiar with the Hawkins scale of calibration. It was a dramatic shift in my life. Now, while it's hard to say what would have happened if things were different, I look at people that I've worked with, both as colleagues and people that I've kind of coached and mentored, and the ones who have had these really dark times in their lives, these really dark days, generally have this kind of, I feel this similar capacity for the profound within them. Whereas I have a couple of friends who are very, very dear friends and amazing, amazing people, but their life thus far hasn't necessarily provided them with a huge amount of challenge. They may have had traumatic moments here or there, I'm not saying that at all, but they haven't had to kind of do 2 years in a career they didn't like. They haven't stuck in a relationship they didn't want to stick in because they didn't know a better way to get out of it, or whatever it may be. They haven't been in those moments and situations where you're kind of dragged through something that you don't really want to be involved in. And I get the sense that they just haven't had that real taste of what they don't like. And it the similarity that I see is this kind of this lack of that huge capacity, that huge space created for them to step into their magnificence. And I think then when I have this whole thought in my mind about nature and about the fact that nature always tries to achieve balance, no matter where you look at it. If you're looking at different aspects of the autonomous things within your body, or within the weather systems, or whatever it may be, nature balances the order of nature. Now, if you look at a life well lived, then you would almost have to think, well, surely a balance of all kinds of experience um, is useful, or at least is in line with the way the universe works. So must be a kind of natural way for us to be, to have this balance, to have this exposure to the things we don't necessarily enjoy or love, and of course this exposure to the things we do. It also brings to mind a chap called Robert Bly, incredible guy. He's an elder. He's a men's teacher, and he's part of the men's movement, or was part of the men's movement. And he's an incredible guy. And I was introduced to him by one of my mentors, a guy called Rory Kilmartin, who spent 20 years researching relational power dynamics and is just an absolute guru of intimacy and relationships. He's amazing, absolutely phenomenal. Talks a little bit like Hugh Grant as well, which always goes down well. But he introduced me to Robert Bly, and one of the sayings that Robert Bly has, or one of the quotes that's out there is, let the wounded be the healers. And what I take from that myself is the fact that the wounded have the capacity for the amount of compassion and empathy that's going to be required to support and help someone else going through what they've been through, or similar to what they've been through. And if I look at that in my life, I look at some of the things in my younger years that I was ashamed of, moments of drug abuse and promiscuity and bad behavior in relationships and other things like this. And if I look at those occurrences, I was ashamed of those. I wouldn't tell people those things. I would almost act as if they didn't happen. I would let them be swept underneath the carpet and disappeared, because it was far easier than admitting that, hey, I'm weak. I had drug problems and I used to sleep around and all of this sort of nonsense. But as I gained a greater awareness on this topic, I've come to realize that these moments and those times, they were like a very intense school, a school of hard knocks, a school of learning, where how do I word this? They were like an intense boot camp, a boot camp which took me through the deepest, darkest aspects of what could happen, so that I was stronger and I was more capable of then going out and doing everything that I wanted to do. Maybe that metaphor wasn't great, but hey, we'll go with it because we're live and we're in the moment. But for me, it's this capacity that it opens, and there's beauty here. And I think the profound beauty is here for me is that if I look at every client that I work with in a coaching or mentorship capacity, all of them have at least one element of shame. And I will call it ungrounded and unfounded shame. Shame which has come from some kind of experience they had in their younger years, where maybe they, it could be something as simple as they went to raise their hand in class and the teacher shamed them because their answer was incorrect. It could be the fact that their partner cheated on them, it became very public, and that shame that, I don't know, fill in the blank here with what creates shame. But here is the point. Through my work with them, I've been able to help them to reframe shame, so to speak. And in the instances that I've had with these clients, and of course we've gone through this a couple of handfuls of times, and if anybody out there is dealing deeply with shame and you think, I've got a challenge for you, help me with this one, reach out to me, because that's what this is all about. But with these people that I've worked with, we've been able to reframe shame, so that they can see the inherent power that it creates within them. Those moments of darkness when they were so exposed to it, we reframe those so that they no longer act as this deep-lying hidden fear which can be triggered in a moment of whatever and make them feel terrible. No. That's not the case with these guys anymore. We use these as a source of inspiration and power. We use these as a signpost pointing us towards what our purpose is in life. And I guess this comes from my belief that everything happens for a reason. And therefore your traumas and your difficult times are there to teach you, because there is something you need to learn or something you need to take from that which is going to help you in the future. Whether that is, help you to do whatever in the future. So that's it, really. Reframe shame. There is no reason to be ashamed of anything. Absolutely everything you have exposed yourself to or you have been exposed to has been for a reason. And that reason ultimately leads you towards fulfilling your destiny and your purpose. So, again, if I have axe murderers and whatever listening to this, then of course, we start bringing in moral issues and where the line is. So I won't get into that, but I think you get my point. 90% of shame which is in society at the moment is held unnecessarily, and that is the shame that I'm referring to. So I hope this has been useful. If you want me to talk more about reframing shame and how we can do this, then just post in the comments below and I'll create a video specifically for that. But otherwise, have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye-bye.